Well, it's time. It's time to take this off. Oh dear. Oh, I haven't worn that in quite a while. Oh, these cables. So yeah, as you can tell by this fella here who keeps buzzing in my ear, it's time to tackle the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles collection, which is quite possibly the largest portion of my toy collection. Oh, let me just take care of this because the battery's stuck in my back. Look, if the muscle suit was actually intact, I'd be wearing the whole thing. Whew. Anyway, so yeah, there's a lot of reshuffling I have to do. There's a lot of, there's also some new stuff I have to bring in as well, and lots of moving. But out of all of my different childhood fandoms, Ninja Turtles has been the most enduring. I also count it as being the most influential in my life. The original comics by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird directed me into a creative career path. Not exactly the one I originally intended, a creative one nonetheless. So let's get started, and we're actually going to start right at the top. Oh, there we go. That's right, we're going to start up here and take care of this limp little fella right here. It's not the first time I've heard that.
This is the lamest vehicle in the history of lame vehicles. Can't this thing go any faster?
Poor fella. This is the Turtle Blimp from 1988. There's a bit of a story to this one as well. About 4 years ago, I stumbled upon this glider at Savers for only $4. A year later, I won an auction for a bargain job lot of random Ninja Turtles toys. But amongst it, and the main reason I bid on it, was because of this, and a set of bombs that came with it. That job lot was only about $50, something like that. An absolute bargain for all that stuff. Yeah, this has been sitting on my display for all that time. I think after that, I found another blimp for about $10. That deflated faster than this one. However, earlier this year, I rediscovered these. Wait, give me a second. This is the Turtle Blimp from my childhood. If you go watch that video up there, you'll find out that we rediscovered a whole bunch of my thought long lost childhood toys underneath the staircase, just hidden behind all this other junk. We thought we'd given it away. This stuff had been there for nearly 30 years untouched. This blimp has been inflated for the last, at least 4 months, I think, and has not lost any air. At the moment, I'm thinking I'm going to take the fins off of the other blimp, put them on here, attach everything, and then put my childhood Turtle Blimp up on display. There's one. I'll deflate that later. Yeah, go back into storage as well. It's actually broken compared to the other one, but you know what, for $4 it was really good find. I may deflate this one just to make things a little easier to grip. So, how have you been? Deflating it a little just makes it easier to kind of press all the little tabs in. I think that's enough. Only because it still has to fit up there between the top of the shelf and the ceiling. There we go. Most of my childhood Turtle Blimp. Let's put you back up there. There's a little stopper there that prevents it from moving. It looks a little awkward. It fits. But let's talk about some of these other things. a bit of randomness up there with the Turtle Blimp. Starting with these really cool lemonade drink cans from 1990. A friend of mine, Jacob, actually gave me these for Christmas. They were sitting in his family shed for the better part of 3 decades, just sitting there empty. And yeah, he thought, well, either throw them out or give them to a Ninja Turtles fan. So I'm very grateful for that. That's a nice little bit of esoteric memorabilia. I have a bit of a soft spot for prop weapons, replica props. So we've got one of Leonardo's foam katanas from the Nickelodeon cartoon. This particular one comes from 2013. So nice and larpy, basically. It's one of the few Nickelodeon Ninja Turtle items that I actually have on display. This was a gift from my friends Sean and Juzzy Cosplay. It is the Sewer Force sword, which I'm not sure I knew existed when they presented it to me. And it's got Leo on the pommel. Very nice. Nice one from, well, there it is, 1990. I have a couple of props. I say props, but really they're just cosplay, roleplay swords for kids. This is an electronic one from 2002. I left the batteries in there. Yeah, for the early 2000s, that sort of electronic sound was quite an innovation. That was an eBay find, I think, as opposed to the Nickelodeon stuff. That was a savers find for like a few dollars. But the real favorite of this set is this really funky looking one right here. This is the Sword of Tengu from 2004. Bugger it, I am going to spoil it. The Shredder in that version of Ninja Turtles was an Utrom, and so he had this made out of alien materials, and it even has an Utrom on the pommel, which is very cool. If you switch it on, that's actually really cool. I love that. Finally found on an eBay at an affordable price. I have a bit of a threshold. I don't pay more than a certain amount. The only disappointment of this, as wonderful as I think it is, it's missing the glove, the single gauntlet that allows the wielder to swing, to hold the sword. But you know what? Eventually I'll come across that one day. But this is really cool. So yeah, I had various ideas of how to display them. These sword racks were actually these sword racks are actually from Savers for a couple of dollars each. I just stumble upon the randomest shit. Where the large Megatron is now, I was thinking of putting the swords there in a custom built rack, but until that happens, yeah, they'll go back up there like this, whether it be blasters or swords or whatever other little props. I love that roleplay element. That's why I do cosplay. I'm not much of a performer anyway, but that sort of element brings you closer to these things. I'm rambling. I'm just gonna put these back up there.
Wait, you're April? What's with the yellow jumpsuit? Do you work at a car wash in this dimension?
Bit of blue tack. Let's put this over here. This is actually an extension. The original bookcase ends right here. This is the top of the real bookcase. This I built out of, I think it's called colourboard. It's like melamine type stuff that I bought from Bunnings. And the original bookcase, which we bought, probably nearly 20 years ago, is a lot shorter than some of the other Austin bookcases that I've got displaying the other stuff. Very simple to do, actually. I'm at a point where I think I should really build all my cabinets myself. Now, I originally had the idea of swapping out the contents of this shelf with the one below it. Well, the worry was that some of the figures are being unseen because it is so high up that some of the figures get hidden behind other figures, but now that I've found a solution for some of this stuff, I might be able to resolve keeping it up here and minimize the amount of moving I have to do. So just quickly, these are Pantry Organizers. If you saw similar ones I used for the other shelves, those ones are from Kmart and Big W. They're called 3-tier steps, spice racks. They're bamboo ones as well. Those other ones, I like that style. Nice and clean, nice and simple, perfect size for the shelves they're being used on. These ones are from Target, roughly the same price, but they're narrower. Two of the other ones are too short, but a third one doesn't fit, whereas three of these fit, even though they're slightly shorter, but I can make that work. So right here we have what began as a shrine to April O'Neil, and then just ended up being whatever sort of vintage figures needed a spot. Now, I normally don't do mint in pack. The general sentiment for me is that toys should be out of the pack. But I got these for so cheap, I'm bound to find a loose one along my travels later on anyway. And some of these I didn't know existed until I spotted them in job lots on eBay as well. But I also do have out of pack April O'Neils, beginning with the original releases. I've got both versions, one with the blue stripe, one without the stripe. There's also the 2003 version, NECA, Eastman and Laird version. I've actually got a few of those around the place. The re-release of the original, as well as the Nickelodeon April O'Neil, and the only element from those god-awful recent live-action Ninja Turtles, the Megan Fox April O'Neil. Why? Because she was in a cheap savers bag for like $4 or $5, but also she was actually the only thing that made sense in that first 2013 movie. Ooh. So I'm recording this a few days later, mainly because I want to have another attempt at making a point that I failed to make previously at 3 a.m. Look, that time of the morning is when it's quiet enough around the house so I can actually do these sorts of videos. You'll notice that back in the 80s and 90s, Playmates were making variation after variation after variation of April, as well as all the other turtles. At the risk of being cynical, it was an attempt to sell more toys. Later incarnations of the Ninja Turtles, you still saw multiple variations and mashups of the Turtles, but you saw fewer versions of April O'Neil. And that seems to coincide with this rather unfortunate sentiment that a lot of people in media have about female characters not selling. The reality is it's very much a case of if you don't make it in the first place, then what's there to buy? So that's what this is partially about. Okay, sure, these are vintage toys, which means whatever money I spend goes to private sellers and collectors. And so what sort of message is that sending? Well, first of all, it starts here for me, and it actually spreads out to the rest of my collection. It's about being consistent. And so yeah, I'm doing the same thing with more recent releases as well. It's about transforming my own biases and whatnot. It's about maintaining a mindset within myself and helping to promote that. At the same time, I genuinely like these characters, whether they be male or female, and you want to encourage that in others as well. So I hope that makes sense. Does it? It's not as late as last time as I do this, but yeah, just this is where that slots in. But we also got movie star turtles. Yes, I still think they're butt ugly. I don't ever recall seeing them in Australia. I saw the ads. I distinctly remember the ads, but I don't remember seeing the toys in stores. Playmates were doing crossovers, mashups, they were doing all sorts of things. They had both the Star Trek and the Turtles license at the same time. Of course they did Star Trek versions of the Ninja Turtles, because I think I had Starlog magazine back in the day, and that ad came up with all 4 turtles in them, and I thought it was the most bloody ridiculous thing I'd ever seen, but I wanted them. Anyway, so we've also got Wacky Wind-Up Ninja Turtles. When I was little, they were my default turtle set. I never had a complete set of the original Turtles, so they were the ones I played with. And then the Ninja Turtles 3, Turtles in Time. You know what? I will defend that film to my last breath. That film is better than people give it credit. I mean, yeah, sure, the first film, beautiful, fantastic. You know, that's still the best one. But Turtles in Time, I think, comes second over Secret of the Ooze. Fight me on that one. Sorry. It's a marginal improvement with these bamboo Pantry Organizers. they elevate a few of the figures that were hidden behind some of the makeshift platforms I was using previously. Standing down there, it looks better. I'm happy with it.
They're the world's most fearsome fighting team. We're really hip.
Next shelf down, and this represents my childhood collection. It's a recreation of it, for the most part, and then some. So I think I say over and over again that the majority of my childhood toys were thrown out or given away. And in recent years, one of the goals was to reacquire many of those pieces to recreate what I had as a kid in the 80s and 90s. Excuse me. I'm about to get choked up. And what surprised me most of all was how affordable it was to do that. Actually, it all began when I accidentally stumbled upon a re-release Party Wagon, or at least the shell of it, for like $5 at a Savers. I think that might have been about 4 or 5 years ago. And that sort of got me thinking, yeah, maybe I should actually start seeking these things out. I went through a very slow process of having most of the parts of a reissue to having a version of the one from the 90s to the original release. And it's surprising to learn all these decades later that there were differences between the two original releases. Like, there's subtle differences. They even improved it on the second wave and things like that. The sewer set, I reckon this is still my favorite play set out of any play set that I've ever seen, even including the bridge of the Enterprise that I showed off in the previous video. This is the favorite. This is the one I took to my parents' restaurant with me every single night and set up in front of the TV in the bar area. All these years, the only piece of that playset I had was the green sewer pipes. Those are my original pieces. And for a while there, I was actually looking for near complete playsets that, you know, didn't have to have the sewer pipes because I already had them. But fortunately with this one, I got a near complete one that was only missing the little blue radar dish on the side there because it normally snaps off. For the turtle aficionados out there, in the sleeping area, the little cables coming off the TV, a lot of people overlook that. Even I forgot about it until I received this and looked in there and went, oh, there's cables in there. I'm glad I got this one then, because there were other ones that were missing those pieces. It might look a little incomplete because the posts don't actually fit. That's why I was tempted to swap this into the upper shelf. The posts, they're still there on either side, they're still intact, they're just not installed. What I said before about not having a complete set of the original Turtles when I was a kid, this original set was actually donated by my mate Carl. I've known since high school. We've known each other for like 25 years. About 5 years ago, he was cleaning out the shed of his childhood home, and he had a set of these. And he said, hey, do you want them? Oh, sure, I'll take them. And yeah, they're very generous of him. And so this is the first time I've ever had a complete set. I've had one of the original Turtles, and I still have him. As per usual, he's in a separate cabinet with the childhood heroes. Again, we're going into that another time. I also had a Bootleg Mikey. I remember buying my Bootleg Mikey back in the day at the Central Market, at one of those crappy little bargain variety stores where they've got all the knockoffs and things like that for $2. And yeah, I remember that packaging being so accurate. The only two things that were different from the original was the plastic was probably a bit off, and he's got a little circle on his belt. Over in that corner, those are actually my original toys. I still had them hidden away in a box somewhere, along with Leo. They're my original toys from childhood. So Metalhead, Genghis Frog, Splinter, Foot Soldier, and Shredded. The parachute, I had that as a kid. Got that in that job lot that I mentioned before. I never had an original Nintendo system, but I got that for $9. This yo-yo was $5 at a open air market. Yeah. I distinctly remember wearing this everywhere. I've bought a new one since then. Oh, new. What's hilarious though is in that video about finding my childhood toys, this cover of Leonardo was found amongst them, all battered and broken. I have that somewhere as well. Yeah, out of all the toys, I think I played with the Turtles the most. The Turtles were the most consistent, persistent toys that I played with. I remember those the most. Yeah, I think out of everything, this means a lot to me. I'm just happy to have this back again. It feels like it's come back home.
Nobody messes with the purple dragons. Especially wearing stupid turtle costumes.
He's wrong. We're not wearing costumes.
And now we've arrived at the middle shelf. As much as the original toys have immense childhood nostalgia and sentimentality for me, the original cartoon, not so much. I still credit it as being the whole reason I discovered Ninja Turtles in the first place, but I don't have that greater attachment to it like I do the toys. As far as versions of the Ninja Turtles that I prefer, the 2003 series, so far it is one of my preferred versions. But a little like Beast Wars, I was resistant about it at first, and it took me an extra year or two before I really warmed up to it. Sure, it has its flaws. I think the fast forward section of it didn't really work for me, but overall, I really enjoy and appreciate this series with one of the co-creators, Peter Laird, basically in control. It's a great distillation retelling of the original comics, and then some. So, you've got all the usual suspects here. You've got the Turtles up front, there's Casey, there's Splinter, there's April O'Neil. You've got the foot soldiers back there, you've got the elite foot soldiers as well. You've got the allies around the place. Leatherhead, I like that version of Leatherhead, so I was glad to get this figure. The Utrom, the Fugitoid, Usagi, that's a really cool version as well. Mind you, I will admit the Nickelodeon version is very cool, and I've got his figure somewhere. But this one, I remember buying him loose. I already had the swords in another job lot that I found. That's how it always works. You find the figure, you find the accessories, you bang them together. You don't have to buy things complete. Turtle Titan, yay! Some Tech Foot Ninja. I really appreciated their concept as well, using tech to kind of enhance their ninja skills. The Triceratons are really cool. This version was Commander Mozart, if I remember correctly, because he was a general in the Nickelodeon one. Yeah, Commander Mozart. What's great about the Triceratons is I have multiples of their accessories. I think I still do. So whenever I find a loose one, then I just add the accessories that I already have. Boom. A lot like the foot soldiers, really. Oh, that Shredder. Even though that's not the first one I ever bought, the very first toy from this range I bought back in 2006. It was during a time they were still in shops. I bought it brand new, and the reason for that was because I was making that Shredder as a cosplay. I was making it for a friend's birthday party. It was around the same time that I was learning how to vacuform. I built my own rig, I learned how to make bucks, I stuffed that up, and basically the costume turned out really crap. This is way back. This was at least, 11, 12 years ago, way before I started cosplaying properly and way before I attended my very first convention. But I still have that mint in pack Shredder somewhere in storage, which I bought as reference, but I never opened it. So we've got the Toddler Turtles. I love these guys. Two figures in this set, in this collection, that I want to highlight because I think they're really cool, really special. Hamato Yoshi was a long search. Every now and then you do find a loose Yoshi, but I really wanted him complete. Finding his accessories were going to be very difficult because they're not easily recognizable. He comes with a pre-mutated Splinter as well as his rat cage. I just think that's really cool. I think I was offered it at a cheaper price because it was sitting in my eBay watch list for so long. The other one is Karai, the Shredder's adopted daughter. Now it seems whether it be the 2003 series, the Nickelodeon series, or even the 2007 movie, Karai seems to be a rather difficult one to find, or at least an overpriced one whenever you do find it. So I was fortunate that I got her for Christmas thanks to Sean and Jazzy cosplay, but she was incomplete, missing her armor and her weapons. And I know exactly which one they bought because I was keeping an eye on that exact listing on eBay in my watch list. But they beat me to it, so yay me. But then shortly after that, I won a bargain job lot on eBay for all sorts of figures, vehicles, and accessories, and amongst those loose accessories just so happened to be the exact weapons and armor for that Karai. That really worked out well because Karai is one of my favorite characters. If you haven't guessed by now, Leo is my favorite character, and then, you know, by association, Karai. I do like that dynamic. Just quickly, I'm noticing this. I don't remember when or how I found this mutating ooze from 2003. It might have been in one of the job lots, it might have been randomly at Savers, or I might be confusing that with another one. Regardless, I'm just fascinated by the fact that it still has some ooze in it. So it's been at least 17 years, and whatever is in there is still in there. It's about a third full. I mean, it should be non-toxic, but you never know how long these things last. It's late, I'm not that hungry. If you look closely, you can see hidden amongst here all these little mouses just hiding away. One's on the couch, one's on the zip line. There's another hiding behind the Utrom. I thought that'd be a funny little Easter egg. I've still got handfuls of them that I keep picking up whenever I find job lots or whatnot. So I just thought that was a bit of fun. Oh, the reason why this happened, the sewer playset, I just happened to find that at a Savers one day back in 2016. 2016 was when my collecting really blew up. A lot of time on my hands, I was out bargain hunting a lot. One day I was walking through the toy section and my foot just bumped into this case. This thing folds up. It looks like, if you're not paying attention, Castle Grayskull. And when I bumped into it, I thought, is that what I think it is? No, it's not. It's something else. All this is happening within 20 seconds, not even that. For the turtle fans that are really observant, you might have already noticed that the training arena is missing from there. It wasn't going to fit on this shelf. It kind of extends out a little too far. When it folds up, this becomes the lid, because that's where the handle is. The price for this turtle playset at Savers, $4.99. $4.99. $4.99. There was nothing wrong with it. There was like, yeah, sure, some of the pieces, some of the little accessories were missing. I found them quite easily after the fact, but I'm still giggling because I have like 3 of these now. I'll explain why that's even funnier for me later. Thanks to that bargain, it set the ball rolling. Oh, there's more of this series to come. There we go. It looks like I am finally going to be doing some swapping around, but it means I'm going to have to put some stuff in storage. Yeah, I didn't realize these guys were leaning on one another. Oh, I think I accidentally shot a missile. I don't know what that means. These guys are a little unwieldy. The whole action pose nature that Playmates insisted on having in the original figures back in the 80s kind of persisted into the early 2000s figures and manifested here, and they really don't stand well. They take up a much more awkward footprint, for instance. Oh, I dropped another thing. I do remember buying a complete set of these 4 giant turtles for the price of one of them, just so I can get their weapons to put on a much better condition set of 4 turtles I already had. Anyway, we're moving shit. Oh, I shot another missile. What the? Actually, those turtles are probably going to remain here somewhere. What is going into storage is the Battle Shell. I actually really like this vehicle. I reckon it's a worthy successor to the Party Wagon. This one I discovered at the Fisherman's Wharf markets down at Port Adelaide. And what was extraordinary about this find, I was so far away from the stall it was at. All I saw was a tiny green box from the distance. And I thought, is that what I think it is? I don't know, my mind just in a turtle zone, I guess. I ran over, looked at it, and I said, how much? And he said $10. Previously, I'd only ever found this without the roof. And you'd find them for $10, $15. I think someone was asking $40 for just this without the roof and the missiles. It's one of those things where resellers think this is valuable because Ninja Turtles, because over 10 years ago, that sort of crap. Nope, $10. Every other one since then has only been about, not much more than that, but that popped out again. This I'm especially proud of. This is Zanramon's ship, the Triceraton leader. Really good condition. Missing one missile. Let's put this back. Apparently I almost missed out. I saw this on Facebook Marketplace. I drove all the way there and the seller was telling me how the other person was trying to convince them to post it to them. And I was like, for this bargain, I was willing to drive that distance. It wasn't that far, but I get how some people can't get out that way because they're busy, or there are some bargains that I will drive so far for. Isn't that right, Megsy? I didn't hear him. This is another one of those difficult to find ones. Yeah, so glad to have this one. Dust this off and yeah, different set of figures will be in its place.
Bad news is this thing is gonna run out of bodies soon.
Yeah, so? You think we should help these guys? I'd rather enjoy the show. What do you say, fearless leader?
I say we stop talking.
That was frustrating. I love this movie, but these toys sometimes test my patience, and like the most minor thing that just throws me off. So here are the figures from the 2007 CG movie, and I really like that movie. I love the tone, I love the art style. I think it was intended as a spiritual successor to the original live action films from the 90s. The script was funny, the characters were all correct, but I think there wasn't a villain you cared about, I guess. It was very much about Leo and Raphael's relationship, and that worked out really well, but almost got there, just missed the mark. I still love and appreciate this film, which is why I have these. This film was the final role of Mako Iwamatsu, who voiced Splinter.
No excuses when you are the leader, my student.
He was a great Japanese-American actor, and he passed away the day after he completed his recording. April was Sarah Michelle Gellar, and she did a fantastic job. She sounded right for the role. And Casey Jones, Chris Evans, Captain America, which I think people forget that, but he did pretty well with that. So, once again, 4 turtles right up front in the arrangement that I keep repeating over and over. The funny thing is, these toys keep popping up over and over and over again in various forms, various conditions, but select ones are often hard to find. I've only ever found one other April O'Neil, and the one I have on display here actually came mint in pack, and I was like, nah, bugger it, I'm opening it. Casey Jones pops up so much, but never with his mask. So I don't have a masked version of Casey here. Foot soldiers are everywhere, so which is why I'm army building. Every time I find a foot soldier in any range, really, I just buy one. Hopefully, $5. Pushing it at 10. I think I've got more in storage. The Cowabunga Carl van. This one I bought at the Mega Toy Fair, I think 2016, 2017, for about $40. Back then, I thought it was the first time I'd seen one. Bugger it, I'm getting it. It's toward the end of the day. They discounted it anyway. I was looking for something else to spend on. I think it was 2 years later that I found a second one for $6 at Savers. Whew. Anyway. So Winters, who was voiced by Patrick Stewart, he's also a hard one to find. I don't recall, was this an in-pack one as well? Yeah, I think it was. I just had no hesitation ripping him out of pack. Most of the time I don't hesitate with that, especially Karai. Again, hard to find, and when you do, so expensive. I don't... The movie was 13 years ago, but they're treating it as if these things came out 30 years ago. My favourites are actually the talking big mouth turtles. These are the giant figures of this range. I really like them. I like the gimmick. If you're going to make big figures, you might as well do something more than just hollow plastic. And so when you press their chests... Oh, I've turned it off. The mouths move and they spit out lines. These heads are all rubber, so a little rough play and they will tear. So Raphael here, I replaced the working one with a better looking head. Ooh. The Jersey Devil, right down here. In storage, I do have the Tower playset. That was a $10 find on Marketplace one night. I think this is the Jersey Devil that goes with that, but I found this separately at again, Savers. You often find it with a broken tail, so I do have a few broken tail versions. And there's Shredder hiding back there. I've hidden him away because he's not part of the story, so it's like, yeah, you made a Shredder figure, but he's technically not in the movie. Bloody hell, that figure actually pops up a lot. It's not my favourite, but But he's there. Okay, hilariously, the stone statues, apart from General Aguila, I can't remember what their names are, but this guy on the end here, I found him for about $3 at Savers, and for the longest time, I could not find his weapon. Whenever I did find his weapon, it was already attached to a figure, and they wanted $20 for that figure. I'm like, I'm not paying that just for the hammer. Hell, I don't even want to pay $20 for the figure with the hammer. Then what happened was at a Mega Toy Fair, some guy was really trying to get rid of his stuff, and he had a figure complete with hammer for only $5. I almost forgot to talk about the platform that the Foot Clan are standing on right now. It's a sheet of polycarbonate that I cut out, and it's the type I use is actually almost like a core flute arrangement. So it's fairly light, it's easy to cut, easy to drill into. I use it mainly because, well, I've got figures underneath it, and I've only got one lighting source for that entire shelf. So the clear polycarbonate stuff, which I buy at Bunnings, by the way, at sheets of 120 by 60 centimeters. This allows the light to illuminate the stuff underneath these shelves. I used to use them a lot more in my displays, but I still find them very handy. Yeah, I really wish they did more with this. I really enjoyed the potential of this version. Oh well.
Hope you don't mind, but we let ourselves in.
Actually, it kinda looks like we're already here.
Starting the record halfway through because this took a little extra thinking and testing and experimenting, and I just wasn't sure how much memory card space that I have. Yeah, so the platform is a bit makeshift at the moment, which isn't unusual for any of my stuff, but it was a decision about whether or not I wanted to build something from scratch. Wasn't really in the mood for that. Also, do I wait until morning to go buy some stuff? I think for the time being this will do, because it's going to be hidden behind my most recent acquisitions. Oh, pardon me. So these guys, hello, these guys I obtained in a job lot that I found on Gumtree probably 2 weeks before the recording of this video. Random job lot featuring these 4 giant 13-inch turtles. Funny, we still use inches to measure our toys, don't we, fellas? And an assortment of random figures as well from the 80s and 90s. All I paid was $50, which is what one of these can fetch up to. Very proud of that. Over the last couple of nights I've been slowly cleaning them because they were covered in scuff marks, which are paint transfer from bumping and scraping against one another in a box for many years. Because this paint is meant to be durable. I mean, they're kids' toys. They're meant to be bashed around and played with. The paint transfer isn't so easy to clean off. You know, soapy water wasn't going to cut it, of course. Regular cleaning products weren't going to work either. As an absolute last resort, and only if you're confident enough in your own abilities, and again, depending on what plastic you're using and what paint surfaces you're actually trying to clean, very fine grit wet sandpaper, the finer the better, like in the thousands, is suitable to clean these surfaces. And I don't clean everything off either, because if you go too far, you're likely to take some of the paint off or even damage some of the plastic. A couple of these fellas already have deep sort of scarring from, I don't know, being thrown on concrete, for instance, maybe. They're missing their weapons, but I'm not that upset about that. Mainly because my original Leo, which is up there in the cabinet, oh yes, that cabinet, we'll be talking about that next time, he's still got his sword, so I'm not worried. On closer inspection, 2 of them have definitely got the original belts, and the other 2 either have really well taken care of belts or really good replicas. I can't tell. Either way, I'm not going to be that finicky about it. Yep. a little better. Huh. I think I'm okay with that. Again, everything a work in progress, and I might change my mind in a week's time. As I mentioned before, I've still got my giant Leo from childhood, but this is the first time I've ever had a complete set of all 4 giant Ninja Turtles from 1989. It was never a goal, but honestly, when I saw that ad pop up on Gumtree, could not resist. Oh, what's that? Do you know the industrial look is really popular right now? During this, pandemic, a lot of people have used this time to renovate their houses. And the most popular style at the moment is the industrial look. Black metal frame, oak panels, shelving, hallway tables, console tables also known as, coffee tables, side tables, whatever. And all the affordable ones have been sold out around the city. They've only just started restocking in the last few weeks. So there are a lot of listings on Facebook Marketplace and Gumtree for people advertising that they're in search of console tables, for instance. Hey, look, I'm not immune to the, wanting the industrial look myself. I put in a lot of effort to get a third one of those for another thing. This is the Atticus console table, normally sold at Target. This one I found on, I do want to say Marketplace. Could have been Gumtree, I can't remember now. It's a few weeks ago now. They were getting rid of theirs for slightly less than retail. I don't know how long they had it, but it's still in excellent condition. And I drove a long way for this. 2 weeks later, Target have restocked. My local Target is only like 5 minutes from me. I've been planning this for a while, so this is why I bought this many weeks ago. But it is going to require a minor modification for it to work, so I'm going to get to that. So I added a melamine backing board onto this console table, primarily because I'm going to have figures down there, and I want them, if they're going to fall backwards onto something so they don't fall far. There's a bit of a lip back here as well, so whatever I put up here, and you've already seen what's going to go up here, doesn't get pushed back. Now, here we go. Bit of overhang on the front here, but that was anticipated. I mean, ideally I want it flush, but I also don't want it falling off the back. But yeah, looking nice. Right. Let's see if we can do this. So the first time I saw NECA's Ninja Turtle line was back in 2008 with the appearance of these Eastman and Laird style Ninja Turtles. It was a random find at a Target here in Australia. And back in those days, Target was surprisingly good when it came to collectibles like these. I remember it distinctly. They were still unpacking them to put on the shelves, and I was like, oh, I need these. So I grabbed the 4 and went on my way, and it was just so goddamn exciting to have it, because that was so cool. It was the first time, I think it is legitimately the first time, that the Ninja Turtles of the original comic book Ninja Turtles had been depicted in toy form. Are you gonna stand? There you go. To this day, I still absolutely adore these figures. I think they're bloody wonderful. They're just so cool. I would love to get a set of the black and white versions, but that, of course. I do have an April O'Neil. I'll admit, I can't remember when I got this first one, because then I bought a second one. I bought the second one just so I could have the mouses with it, because this one didn't come with a mouser. Speaking of which, there we are. The separate mouser pack is mighty expensive as well. There's no point even trying to track that down. There we go, I love that. There's a leg. Oh god, I love them. I'm still amazed by how awesome these look. And people go, why do they all have red headbands? And then you have to explain that. Admittedly, people don't know if they don't know. We all grew up with the coloured headbands that Playmates created for them. And I think you can get bootlegs with the coloured headbands. I don't have an interest in those ones. I love these. Again, I'd love to get the black and white ones. That's not happening anytime soon. Unless someone want to buy them for me. I'm just saying. The Foot Clan in the same style. There you go. I believe they were, if I remember correctly, they were a Comic-Con, a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. It would have been, what, 4 or 5 years after that initial set was released? Oh, there we go. And releasing them only at Comic-Con. Finding them as a whole set was just too expensive. So I just bought them individually with some weapons and an Utrom. Yeah, it turned out to be much cheaper. I think now you can actually get them. They're not bootlegs, they're not knockoffs, they're, I guess they're leftovers, factory leftovers you can buy for insanely cheap, but also they're a little harder to find now anyway. And I think they're very cool. I don't think I'm as in love with them as the original Turtles, but Dusty. I've got an excellent story to tell about these guys. The 2003 Turtles, you know, maybe one of my favorite incarnations of the Turtles, but right up there would have to be the live action 90s versions. I'll say this set of 4 Turtles was the Comic-Con exclusive as well. As always, being a Comic-Con exclusive and the way scalpers are, you know, the prices online were just, as per usual, bloody exorbitant. So in 2018, Supernova Expo, or whatever they call themselves now, were in town, and popculture.com is one of their sponsors. So they get a big F-off booth right at the front of the dealer's hall. Prime position. Lots of toys, lots of collectibles, beautiful stuff. Good prices too. For all the complaints people make about, you know, convention prices, if you get them at the right time, you might get a bargain. So anyway, I don't usually go shopping at a convention on a Saturday. Actually, I've told this story before. There might be a link up there for it. You know, mates and I just went browsing. We had a spare moment. What do you know? We stumbled upon the Comic-Con exclusive set for half the price, maybe even less than half price of what anyone else was asking. Not only that, the play set, the diorama set was also there for half price. I could not get my credit card out fast enough. It was just easy. Too easy. Did not even hesitate. But speaking of the Comic-Con exclusives, there was no way I was going to be able to afford the Splinter and Shredder 4-pack. So I was so happy they released these individually. I just had to have Splinter to complete the family set. At the same time, I also got the matching Shredder. I don't actually have a proper spot for him yet, so let's put him over here. So Shredder here was actually a birthday gift. Again, Sean and Jazzy Cosplay gave me the money to go buy that one from Collectible Chaos in Paraka. And because I'm a club member, I got a discount on them anyway. This is a beautiful set. I will always be grateful to what Playmates are capable of doing, but these are just absolutely gorgeous. I do wish sometimes that I allowed myself to pre-order stuff. Occasionally, you know, the 1 or 2 items I have, but quite often I don't, because I'm always able to find a cheaper alternative elsewhere. It's just that I'm still so mad that people bought extra foot soldiers from that line just so they could army build. I'm also pissed off that the Aussie distributors decided to order and import so few of them, because it's like, what were you expecting? What the f*** were you expecting? That you would get so few of them. So I missed out on them for now. There's another run later this year. NECA have also released 2 packs as well for the specific purpose of army building. They said so on their Twitter. I'll complete that set eventually.
I have always liked Kawabunga. Huh?
So here are the quarter scale figures by NECA Toys, and I've spoken over and over and over again how much I love the quarter scale collection. To each their own, everyone prefers the regular size. I'll call them regular size figures. I have a great affection for the quarter scale figures. The first one I bought was Halo 4 version of Master Chief, which I thought was really cool. It wasn't until I got these that I absolutely fell in love with the entire quarter scale range that NECA makes. Always keeping an eye out for really inexpensive ones. Well, I think the first one I bought was Donatello. Raph here was actually the standard version they released. I must admit, I got a little annoyed when they released a second version with the trench coat disguise. So instead, I was very fortunate to find an eBay seller who just sold the costume, the fedora, the backpack, and the trench coat. I got this after I had already made Leo, and it would have made great reference. There's something uncanny about how convincing, I won't say realistic, I'll say how convincing these quarter scales are. Obviously it's easier to do to recapture the accuracy of imaginary creatures, but it's difficult to articulate just how wonderful these quarter scale figures are. Also, we had to get Shredder and the Foot Soldier as well. Shredder was an almost instantaneous buy, but also I had a voucher for that one. I keep mentioning these things, I think it's important. Yes, for both of them I had discount vouchers for already reduced prices. The Shredder is absolutely fantastic. The detail, the glitteriness of his tunic, the cloak was always so stupid. And they captured how stupid that was. The detail under his mask is absolutely wonderful as well, even with the scarring of his face. They really did capture James Sato, who's on Instagram, by the way. I found out after the fact. He's been sharing behind the scenes photos of the original film lately because it's the 30th anniversary of this film, and I wish I had my cosplay intact. Oh well. I heard a rumor that Casey might be on the way. I think it was a fleeting Twitter post by NECA, and possibly a Splinter as well on the way. I haven't looked too far into that. There was a fleeting Twitter reply. Judith Hogue has become reinterested in Ninja Turtles again, especially during this 30th anniversary. Judith Hogue, by the way, was April O'Neil in that first film. You know, I think she unpacked a set of these or something like that, and was hinting that, yeah, she'd be up for an April O'Neil figure, and I'd be up for that too. Like I said, I want to complete the family. Originally, I wasn't going to get all four. I was only going to get Leo. Then I saw the photos when these came out, the high-res photos, and I just fell in love with them. Got them as they were released. But now I have the quartet. I need Splinter. I need April. Yeah, I suppose I need Casey as well. But I need the family. Oh, actually, that reminds me. Baby Turtles. The Baby Turtles are absolutely fantastic. But I think they're wonderful. Canisters, two types. Who had... Oh, I can't remember who had which one now. But while we're at it... a canister of ooze. The ooze is still there. It's still radioactive material. Still lights up. That'll do for now. In any case, I'm happy to have all this in one section now. Well, yeah, actually, yeah, this is the NECA or NECA range of Ninja Turtles right here. Awesome, I love how that works out. I wanted to elaborate on something I mentioned earlier. I said that Ninja Turtles influenced me and pushed me into a creative career path. And that's pretty much true. Like every other kid in the 1980s, I discovered Ninja Turtles through the original cartoon, as well as the original toys by Playmates. And, you know, and like every other kid, I fell hard for them. But not long after that, I discovered the origins of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as a dark, mature, black and white, gritty, independent comic book series. And that happened via these graphic novels right here. These are my original set that I bought back then, or had bought for me. We stumbled upon these at the Coles supermarket in the Central Market. And every time Mum took me there, she'd buy me a copy. The first time I read this, and I've used this phrase before, it blew my tiny little mind. You know, the very introduction when the Turtles have encountered the purple dragons. The fact that there's blood depicted. Yes, sure, these are the colorized versions of them. And it would be many years before I actually discovered an actual original black and white copy of the original comic series. These here, tattered as they are, Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird's work made me want to be a comic book artist. I loved drawing. I just drew anything and everything. All my favorite characters, whether they be from cartoons, video games, or whatever. Turtles especially. I would draw and draw. Like I'd be sitting in the bar area in front of the TV at my parents' restaurant after school, and I'd just be drawing away. And then when I finished it, it'd be up on the wall behind that TV. And yeah, so for the longest time, I wanted to be a comic book artist. It didn't bloody happen. In hindsight, the comic book industry in the 90s was interesting, to kind of put it mildly. In Australia, it was non-existent. And when I discovered sort of the lack of opportunities for artists, comic book artists in Australia, trying to be a little more pragmatic, steered my career ambitions into other creative fields. And toward the end of high school, I think I mentioned it in my Transformers video, it was a toss-up between graphic design and 3D animation. Graphic design eventually won out, but for a while there I still held out hope to be an animator, but it was still a creative industry as far as I was concerned. Being able to draw everything that you were a fan of, that you were, for a lack of a better term, passionate about as a kid, being able to do that, it encourages the fandom element in you, and that sort of plants the seed of wanting to be a cosplayer and wanting to make replica props, and as well as wanting to collect things, but mainly to be creative and use your imagination, I guess. But yeah, I've read these over and over and over again, and even to this day I just can't get enough of them. So out of everything that I was a fan of as a kid, whether it be Dino Riders, Batman, even Star Trek, Ninja Turtles had the most impact on me in terms of where my life went. Doesn't seem like a lot, doesn't seem very direct, looking from the outside, but if I didn't see these comics, I may not have wanted to be a comic book artist. That, in turn, may not have led me into being a graphic designer, which I did for the better part of, over a decade. Yeah, so I owe Ninja Turtles that much.
Oh boy. Leftovers.
Okay. Ooh. Yeah. There's a whole heap of stuff in storage. The majority of it I can't get to. There's tubs and tubs and tubs. There's so much more that aren't in tubs and aren't sorted, and I really should get around to it. I do want to show off a few items though. Up front here, this has been hidden under a table in here for the better part of 2, maybe 3 years. I set this up as a display piece, but ended up having to just hide it away. It's the 4 different Ninja Turtle communicators from 3 different eras. You've got the clamshell phone from the 80s that April O'Neil uses. You've then got the, I guess you could call it the sliding matrix style phone. Also from that era. 2003, you've got the Turtle Cell. And then you've got the Nickelodeon one. It's actually quite a fun game, I'll admit that much. Here's something cool. What year? 1988. April O'Neil. Still in pack. The pack itself not quite mint, but again, when you buy it so cheap, you can't really complain that much. It was originally going to be one I was going to open, and then I found a loose one. Here's a still in pack Comic-Con 2009 exclusive NECA April O'Neil. Again, it was one of those things where I was like, you know what, if it's cheap enough, I'll get another one. I like having backups. I like having, maybe one in pack, one loose. It's just nice to have beginning and, I was going to say end, but that's not correct. It's nice having this sort of lineage. There, fancy word. Unfortunately, I don't know what it is about some sellers. This one was originally going to be a mint in pack one. Yeah, so the other side of it, the stupid seller decided to pack it in a post bag. Yeah, no box. I don't even recall if there was any bubble wrap, But even so, in a post bag? So bloody stupid. I got a refund on my postage, not the figure itself. You know what? People were a bit harsh on Playmates toys when they were doing their classics line. I reckon they did a decent job of them. I like those figures. Even the movie versions that they did, I didn't mind them at all. Sure, NECA kicked their ass, but I thought, you know, at that price range, they were a good effort. So in the classic collection, I've got these two, Bebop and Rocksteady. I think they're pretty cool. The NECA release I haven't seen up close, to be perfectly honest. I still haven't opened these yet. I got them in a bargain auction, but because I haven't got these turtles out on display, even though I do want to do that, I haven't bothered opening these guys yet. I was talking about allies before for the 2003 range, but what with Usagi and Hamato Yoshi and the like, for whatever reason, the allies figures are always difficult to find. I'm actually reading on the back here. Purple Dragon figure, did they ever release that? Nobody is meant to be a Daredevil Batman pastiche. I decided to pull the trigger and get this one because the seller offered it to me for cheap. While we're here, there's a reason I brought this guy out. There's probably a better way to do this, but I don't care. Packaging was beat up anyway. Or at least that's my excuse. These twist ties to keep them in here. My fat fingers can't handle shit like that. Such a goddamn simple toy. He's just a silhouette, basically. And he's got a grappling hook. Master Chief has a grappling hook now in Halo Infinite. I love that. It's stupid, but sometimes I love stupid. Any case, let's find a spot for him. Let's put him next to the Turtle Titan. There we go. Up against the black background, that works for him. Never saw that purple dragon figure. I'm gonna clear the table because I want to show off one of my favorite items. So this is a Japanese Ninja Turtle playset released by Playmates and Takara Tomy in 2007. I had never seen it before. I didn't know it existed until I saw that auction. And it is absolutely fascinating. It's fascinating to learn how different children around the world play with toys, or the traditions and things like that. It's a sewer playset. Oh, it's got all these pieces, and these pieces lock together, and you create their sleeping quarters. There's a parking area here as well. It's one of my favorite esoteric items that I have in my collection. It's got the instructions here. They've got some pop-outs. It looks more like the actual lair in the cartoon than the original. I'm fascinated by this because you're supposed to fold it out. Oh, yes, it does. So it unfolds, and apparently this is a usual thing for toys in Japan, and you make a lot of assumptions whether it be a space-saving thing or where do these go? Perhaps it is best that I keep it in storage just so I can keep it safe. It just amazes me, is all. Slots through there, and look, there's a little carry case for all the detail and articulation that toys have these days, which, let's be honest, they're for adult collectors, the really high detail, expensive ones. Kids' toys are basically this simple. You forget that sometimes. I just think it's wonderful. These are all my accessories. I used to have this little cheeky way of organising the spare accessories, weapons, alternate hands, things like that, for the high-end things. I put them in Tupperware, and then I put them on the shelf behind, hidden under a platform, or use it as a platform, just so I could keep them with these things. These ones here, these actually belong to the Mondo Ninja Turtles figures. As always, I'm going to tease the next video as well as the previous videos I've done. I've talked about these Mondo figures before. I don't want to keep trashing Mondo all the time. Their figures, I like them, but their quality control frustrates me. That first Leo figure, it fell apart on me. But at the same time, if I can find them for cheap enough, I will add them to my collection. I've also got a Dream X April O'Neil. I really like that figure. The main reason I like it so much is mainly because I didn't pay anywhere near the asking price for that figure. again, I spoke about it before. It's not a knockoff. I assume this is how it works. Sometimes the factory has leftovers, so they assemble their own and then sell it off on eBay. That's what I've heard some places do. They release the 4 Turtles, Casey, and Shredder under with the license, and they manufactured all the April stuff. But when it came time to finally releasing April, they lost the license, and so they had to call a news hen. So that's always an expensive one, but I think I spent $45, $50 on that figure, and I didn't really need all the extra accessories. But I think it's really cool, especially when it's $50. And DreamX April goes really well with the Mondo Turtles, more so than the DreamX Turtles, which I don't mind, but I prefer the Eastman and Laird-esque design for the Turtles anyway. Yeah, that particular cabinet we'll be talking more about in a later video. What is left to do? Did I mention before that Leo is also part of the Childhood Heroes cabinet? Again, later video. But yeah, some cool stuff in there. I can't wait to talk about that. I guess I built this up in my head more than it turned out to be. I really thought it was going to be a massive rearrangement of my Turtles collection, because it is the largest part of my collection. But then again, I think I was fairly happy with the way most of it was set out. I mean, some of it could do with a bit of a dusting, but not the point of the video. This in particular is most satisfying because it's brand new and really helps clean up the place. If you've been watching my previous videos, thank you, by the way. I really do appreciate that. I've enjoyed making these, so I do hope people enjoy watching them. If you have been watching my previous videos in this series, then you already know where we're up to. And wait, I'm sitting on it. Hey! Oh, hey, camera work.
Go ninja, go ninja, go. Go ninja, go ninja, go. Go ninja, go ninja, go. Go, 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 go.
I made another funny!